I'm Pastor Steve Talmage at Love of Christ Lutheran Church in Mesa, Arizona, along with Pastor Nanette Christofferson and now our intern Kevin Anderson. We provide brief introductions to two of the assigned Bible readings for Sunday. We're going to look at the Gospel reading for Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. It's a look at Mark chapter 9, 33 to 37. Context, when we look at in the outline of Mark's Gospel account, Mark 8:27 to 10:52, which our lesson is in the middle of this, the focus is on Jesus' identity and his mission. And we also have him moving now towards the latter part of his 3-year public ministry as he moves toward Jerusalem. So the big question running through up to this point is, who am I? Who is Jesus? Who am I? In 8:27 to 9:1, Jesus is on retreat with his disciples and he says, who do the people say I am? And who do you say I am? And we know there's a little tense moment there with Peter. And we know that there are many attributes or names being applied to Jesus. But that's a big question, and it's a big question for all of us. Who is Jesus? Is he the Son of God? Is he the Messiah? Is he just a prophet? Is he a teacher, a miracle worker, or is he a nobody? Chapter 9, 2 to 13, Jesus goes to the Mount of Transfiguration, and there the appearance of Moses and Elijah, along with the voice of God, demonstrate and declare, this is my beloved Son. Listen to him. Listen to him. So Mark's building the case to answer the question, who is Jesus? Who is Jesus? For the people that he's been doing ministry with, to the religious authorities, to the Romans, the Gentiles. Who is he to his disciples and closest friends? Who is he to us? Leading up to our lesson, 14 to 19, there's a father that seeks help from Jesus and Jesus' disciples for his epileptic son. The disciples fail. They're not able to deliver him. And so then the father desperately turns to Jesus. In 23:24, Jesus said to him, if you are able, all things can be done for the one who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out, I believe, help my unbelief. This is one of the most honest answers any of us can give to Jesus. I believe, but help my unbelief, because we know the other side of the coin of faith and trust is doubt. And so this father is desperate. This father has looked at the disciples of Jesus first, and now he's turning to the Lord himself. And he says, Lord, all I can do is trust in your words because I'm struggling here. 25 to 29, the boy is healed. A crowd is forming. Jesus moves with his disciples into a house to avoid the crowd. These private teachable moments with the disciples becomes more precious as he moves closer to Jerusalem. In 9:30 to 32, Jesus repeats a second time that he's on his way to Jerusalem to suffer at the hands of the religious leaders. He's going to die. 3 days later, he will rise from the dead. And as we have seen before, we'll see here, and we'll see again, the disciples can't imagine. They can't wrap their brains around the fact that this one who has demonstrated power over nature, power over disease, this one who has loved so clearly and generously, this one who they've come to believe as their rabbi and even their Lord, has to die. They don't get it. 32, as it makes clear, they did not understand what he was saying. And they were afraid to ask, like many of us. We don't want to come off looking stupid. We don't want to insult our favorite teacher. We just keep our mouths shut, wondering what in the heck is he talking about? 33, then they came to Capernaum, mission center for the whole public ministry of Jesus. Several of the disciples, many of the disciples, come from that area along the Sea of Galilee. And when he was in the house, he asked them, what were you arguing about on the way? So they're traveling from point A to point B. In this picture I put in here, Jesus is out in front, but he can still hear the murmuring or the comments from the 12 behind him. And so he calls them on it. What were you arguing about on the way here? But they were silent. They were silent. They were caught, like any of us as children, being caught by a parent, knowing that we were talking or doing or whatever, what is either childish or embarrassing or something they won't approve of. They were silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. Here we are. We got 16 chapters in the Gospel of Mark. Chapter 9, a lot has happened in the preceding chapters. And what's the big issue among the disciples? Which one of us is the greatest? Well, Jesus sat down, called the 12, and said to them, he probably said, listen up. But he said, whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant, and I added, minister of all. It's just got to be exasperating for Jesus. And I know I'm exasperating to Jesus, and I'm sure many of you are exasperating to Jesus, because you and I, we want to be faithful followers of Jesus. But we struggle with our sinful nature. And we struggle with always, what's in it for me? What is the benefit for me to follow Jesus? What is the benefit besides just dying and going to heaven? There's got to be some payoff, right? Well, Jesus says the payoff is in the now. Understanding who he is and where the power of God is most fully expressed and experienced is when we're giving our lives away to others. When we're meeting and working to serve the needs of others, we experience the presence and power of God. Some of us heard in our church last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, Joanne Grant talking about delivering beds to children who sleep on the floor. And she says, you just don't know what it's like until you drive up to a house where one of these beds is going to be delivered and there's children jumping for joy because we're ministering to another. We're serving another. 36 to 37. Then Jesus took a little child and put it among them. And taking it into his arms, he said to them, whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me. Some of us grew up in places where children were to be seen but not heard. We always had to behave ourselves in church, or if company came into the home. Our parents were very concerned about what our report card said and what the reports on our behavior would be from our teachers. And sometimes we often see children as being insignificant or less valued. And being brutally honest, we have to look at when 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry in this state. And we know Child Protective Services is understaffed, underfunded, and we have children who need foster care. They're always begging for foster parents in our state. What does that say about how we welcome children? When we consider where we rank in the funding of education of our children across all 50 states, this isn't a political thing. This is a response to our call to follow Jesus when he says, whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. How we treat the children in our society, whatever gender, whatever color, whatever language they speak, whatever socioeconomic position they're in, whatever home they live in, whatever school they go to, all of that is a reflection of how we are welcoming Jesus and the one who sent Jesus, God our Creator, who created every child in the image of God. Now, as Pastor Nanette said a couple of weeks ago, that we have to take our 21st century mindset off when we're reading the scriptures and get into the first century, in this case, in Mark's Gospel. And in Jesus' day, children had no social status, but they were among the most vulnerable. For a child to live past age 5, it was a miracle. And if they lived past age 5, they went to work. They had to begin helping contribute to support the family, and children became a source of social security for parents as they grew older. But children had no social status in Jesus' day. And here he is taking one of the lowest status and saying, whoever welcomes one such as these welcomes me and the one who sent me. I often have said, we don't have lots of children here, but we have 100 children coming to preschool, and we have some children on Sunday morning. We have 30 kids preparing to be in a children's musical. Learn their names. Smile at them. Welcome them. Celebrate that they're among us and they're with us. And every time we do that, we are welcoming Jesus and the one who sent him. God bless. Take care.